What if I told you there's a seasonal pattern in Draftkings that might actually be profitable? I built a simple algo to test this idea, which is basically buying in January before the Super Bowl and then selling in February after the Super Bowl hype kind of dies down. Today, we're going to see if this strategy has actually worked over the past few years. Draftkings, I know, IPO'd in 2020. So we're going to backtest it. We won't have too much data, but we'll see how it's done over the past 6 years. So we're going to set up the bot. We're going to backtest the data and see if this pattern holds up or if it's just another market myth or one of my crazy ideas. If this works, it could be an easy, repeatable strategy that you could add to your portfolio. No complex indicators, no guessing. But if it fails, well, that's why we backtest it before throwing any real money at it. So step one, we're going to go into Build Alpha. You guys know this is the platform that I use to build all my automations, do all my back tests. And now what we're going to want to do in here is I'm just simply going to do a seasonal strategy. I'm just going to have it buy in January and I'm going to have it sell in February. So first thing you need to download data. You could do this by going into TradeStation. I downloaded the 1440 minute bars for the past 100 years. Obviously, it's only been, since 2020, since DraftKings was public. So the back test, we're going to start January 1st, 2020, and we're going to end it February 1st, 2025, which was about 10 days ago. And then we're going to leave all these profit targets and stop losses blank because we're not going to use any stops. We're not going to use any targets. We're simply doing a seasonal strategy. Buy in January, sell in February. That's it. So now what we're going to do is go down to the month and the quarter. You see, I already clicked them, prepared for this video. But all I'm going to do is basically click January for our entry signal. And I'm going to make that required. So the entry signal is required to enter in January. And then for the exit signal, I'm going to do February. But I also want to test March. So if we let it ride a little bit and maybe keep riding that hype, does it perform any better? So I'm going to do that. I'm going to click continuous simulation here. And now it just spit out the two different strategies, right? The first one right here, this one is entering in January and then closing on month 3, which is January, February, March. And then the second one here exits in February. So my theory was right. If you keep riding the hype a little bit longer, a month longer, you actually made more money. So if you entered in January and you exited in March, you made more money than just buying in January and selling in February. So you could see all the different stats here. It's only done 6 trades. Obviously, the win percent is pretty high, 83%. And the average trade is about $800. Now, if I just right click over here, show the chart, you can see it's doing exactly what we wanted it to do. It's buying in January and it's selling in March. And then you could see it lost one time right here in 2021. I think that was when the market was coming down a bit as a whole. So it didn't perform too well in 2021, but every other year it's made money. And it's currently still in this trade that it bought early in January, and it was at like 36 bucks. And now DraftKings in like the 40s. I think it's at 50 today. If I check Robinhood, I could see. But anyways, March is doing a little bit better. So if I like what I see here, we could go get a visual on the chart. I could just export this code. The reason I'm doing this strategy on DraftKings is because DraftKings is a betting app and everyone and their mother bets on the Super Bowl. And DraftKings makes it very easy for you to just download on your phone and make a bet on, whoever to win the Super Bowl, whoever to get 100 yards passing, whatever. A lot of people do it and it gets crazy inflated during the Super Bowl because it's like the biggest betting event ever. So that's the theory behind this strategy. I just wanted to backtest it and see if it actually worked or if it was, too good to be true and just too easy. So now if I want to see this in TradeStation, I'll just click generate L code right there. I will click Control A to copy all that good stuff. And now I'm going to flip over to TradeStation. So now I'm in TradeStation. I loaded up all the data. And like I said in the last video, if you watched it, you need to set up your chart based on the data that you ran the backtest on. So if I go back to my backtest. Ran this on DraftKings 1440 minute bars, which is basically just a daily bar. So in TradeStation, I'm going to want to click time frame. I'm going to go to customize, and then I'm going to make sure this says 1440 minute bar. And then we're going to run this, 100 years back and get all the data. So now that that is all loaded up, we have this nice daily chart on DraftKings. So now we just need to get that code and paste it in here. I'm going to go to new application. I'm going to go to easy language. It's going to boot up. So I'm going to go to file, new strategy. I'm going to name this DKNG Super Bowl. Spelled wrong, obviously. Now I'm going to take out all of this nonsense. I'm going to get the code from Build Alpha, paste it into there, and then click this little green check mark. And if I get any errors, I'm just going to correct them. So I know that here is just asking me the position size. So I'm just going to put 100 in there. Let's just base this off 100 shares. Boom, green, no errors. Now we're good to go. So I'm just going to minimize that. I'm going to go back to my DraftKings chart, and I'm just going to right click, go to studies, add strategy. What did we name this one? DKNG Super Bowl. And then we're going to go to status on. So now we can see all the trades from 2020 until now on DraftKings, right? And if I click Alt-Shift-P, you can see the trade list, and the first trade was in 2020. DraftKings was $10.60, and it entered there, exited at 17. 2021, before the Super Bowl again, $44. DraftKings went up to $67. Then the next year was actually the only time that it lost. It lost in 2022. I don't know if I'm mistaken or not, but there was a little bit of a downturn in the market during that time. Could be wrong, but that was the only time in the past 6 years that it lost money. The next year, 2023, got in at 11, got out at 17. Last year, got in at 32, got out at 43. And then this year, it got in at 36, and it's currently at 53. Right now, when I'm recording this, it's February 17th. So this strategy is going to exit in March. We'll see if DraftKings is any higher by the time it exits. So it seems like it's working again this year. And you can see on the chart exactly where it got in. Pretty damn good dip buy right there. So now what I'm thinking is, if this strategy works so good, instead of just buying shares in January, maybe I want to look at buying some options on DraftKings next January, leading up into the Super Bowl. That's just how I would think about this. But if you wanted some automatic execution and you don't want to think about what options to trade or when to enter DraftKings, you could just use this code. You could just go into my free school group, click on Jay's Free Bot Creations, and you could grab the code right in there. I'll post a link to the group down below. But yeah, the final verdict here is the strategy seems to be working. We don't have a whole lot of data since it's a new company. But if the trend keeps continuing like people have been doing for the past however many years, gambling on the Super Bowl, then I think the strategy will keep working. And I think this equity curve will just keep continuing higher. So my idea of betting on DraftKings hype before the Super Bowl and then selling after the Super Bowl seems to be true. This is why we backtest our crazy ideas. That one just came from my brain. There's a lot of other backtests and stuff I do based on just other data sets and other numbers. But this one went from brain to backtest to now I'm probably going to buy some DraftKings next January. It's always good to backtest your ideas before you actually put some real money behind them. But that's it. That's it. Comment below what stock I should backtest next, and I'll see you on the next video.